Yo, what it do, what it do? It's your boy Yellow the Poet, and I am here today with Miss Mercedes Killeen. It is a pleasure to have you here. Welcome to YTP Entertainment, Miss Mercedes Killeen. She's an author, a writer, editor, and a marketer, and we are going to learn more about what Miss Killeen does today. Thank you so much. Welcome to YTP Entertainment. Please enlighten us on some of the things that you got going on currently.
Yeah, so I work as a freelance writer. I do, different types of like blogging, article writing, social media content creation for different brands and clients and things like that. And then I have a poetry career as well that I started out in. So yeah, it started out in the poetry space. Yeah.
I love poetry, as you can probably tell.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what made you get into poetry?
I think for me, it started as kind of like a form of therapy. I think it was something that I used to kind of deal with things that were going on in my life, a way of self-expression and things like that. I've dealt with mental health stuff since I was quite young, so I think that was kind of a big outlet for me and definitely helped me kind of express myself and kind of come to terms with different things. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. I love it. That is awesome.
Yeah.
So in your opportunities to get into um, being an author, what type of writing do you do as an author?
Yeah, so mainly poetry, a little bit of creative nonfiction, and most of my work centers around mental health and mental health advocacy, writing about my experiences of mental illness and trying to kind of break down that stigma that is still there a little bit. Yeah.
Okay, understood, understood. So what are some of the key things people would need to know about mental health that are so important to you and the things that you actually want the world to learn more about and understand?
Yeah, I think just understanding, how real it is for so many people, how severe it can get, it can be really debilitating, but also the fact that recovery is possible. And when you do open up and accept help and kind of, get that support, that recovery, yeah, really is possible. So kind of a combination of trying to show the realities of it, but also give like some hope as well, that, you can come out on the other side and that there's people there that will support you. So kind of trying to balance a little bit of both. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. That's understandable. So when you say that it's debilitating, in what ways could that possibly affect you?
Yeah, I'd say for me, like it affected, pretty much every aspect of my life, whether that be like having to drop out of university, having to leave my job at certain points, having to move back home with my folks, like kind of every area of your life can be impacted by your mental health and if you're struggling. So yeah, I'd say kind of at different points in my life, kind of different areas had been, touched by my mental health issues, but yeah, once I started opening up and accepting help, then things were able to get a lot better for sure.
That is awesome. That is awesome. I was raised in a household with two uncles, and I
Mhm.
wasn't raised by my parents, but I was raised with two uncles that both have special needs, and they both
Yeah,
deal with mental health issues. Um,
yeah.
one is a little more on a adolescent level than the other one,
Mhm.
but
Mhm.
it was a challenge as a child being in the presence of them and not
Mhm.
understanding that they actually had the mental health issues because they had no physical issues. And that was the only thing
Right.
I was understanding of. I just, at that time, being a young child, I didn't know anything about mental health issues. And it was a challenge actually being around that. So
Mhm.
that being said, what are some of the challenges that you face with other people who feel as if they don't have any type of mental health issues themselves to actually deal with?
Yeah, I'd say there can just be a level of misunderstanding. Maybe some people thinking that you're not trying or that you don't want to get better or saying things of that nature. Unless you're in it and experiencing it, I guess it can be a little bit hard to understand. And it might look like someone maybe isn't putting in effort or not trying, but symptoms of depression or other types of mental health issues can make it really difficult to even do, daily tasks. So I'd say just having that level of misunderstanding at times, or not getting the accommodations that you need, whether at school or at work, it can be challenging. So there's still a long way to go, I'd say, for educating people and trying to spread the word of how serious it can be for certain folks.
Definitely. That's understandable. That is definitely
Yeah.
understandable. You, in my opinion, you show yourself to be a very articulate and definitely has a level of intelligence that's above anything that most people will understand about a person who suffers with any mental illnesses. And with that, tell me, what is it that you do to continuously keep yourself educated, and how do you help others?
Yeah, I would say in terms of education, I'm always like I've loved learning since I was really young. So I'm kind of always taking some new course, some new online, course and things like that. I'm kind of the philosophy of being a lifelong learner. It's something that I just really enjoy and personally like just get a lot of fulfillment out of. So kind of always trying to be learning for sure. And then in terms of helping other folks, I'd say just trying to be open about what I've been through, trying to be raw and real about, how serious it can be. And then, like doing poetry readings or performances or talks and stuff, then people come up to me afterwards and kind of share their stories and express how, it helps them feel less alone. So it can be really rewarding to kind of share through art, kind of my experiences and what I've been through. Yeah.
That is beautiful. I love that. I love everything that you're doing so far. It is definitely a rewarding experience, and I think that you will definitely continue to go far with that. I love it. I love it.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, have you come across other people who are in the same position as you, and how do you all relate to one another?
Yeah, I've definitely become friends with other folks who struggle with their mental health. One of my really, really dear friends has struggled with kind of similar mental health issues as me. And so I think it's all about supporting each other, being open, creating a safe space for people to feel like they can come to you and tell you what's going on. And then, having that as a two-way street, like feeling safe to speak with them and to open up what's on your heart and stuff like that. So I would say, yeah, anyone in my life, trying to let them know that I'm there in whatever capacity they're willing to share or willing to open up. Just trying to make sure that they know it's a safe space and that you're there for them. Because, people aren't always ready to accept the help. So just kind of letting them know in whatever capacity they are willing to open up that you're there for them.
That's awesome. That is awesome. So, what are some of the bad experiences that you've had dealing with your mental health issues?
With other folks' mental health or my own?
With your own.
With my own. Yeah, I've been hospitalized many times. There was a point in my life where I was basically in and out of hospitals. It was really, really, really severe. So I'd say hospitalization has been a big thing. And then yeah, like I've struggled with, I'll give a content warning for suicidality or suicide, but I've dealt with suicidal thoughts, suicide attempts, things like that. So just yeah, I have gotten to some really, dark places and things like that, and happy to have kind of come out on the other side of that. But yeah, I definitely have struggled very deeply. Yeah, yeah.
Definitely. Um, One of the things that I've always talked about with people who've been through situations with suicide is in my own personal experience or my own personal opinion, I feel like there's nothing more important than the life that you bring to this world. I feel like, irregardless of what your situation is, you do have something to bring to the table. You have something that the people in this world need to understand, need to know about. They need to hear these things so that they too can understand how to come out on the other end rather than to come out on the darker side where they're no longer in existence. And
Right.
are so good. I must say you're definitely doing a great job, and please, by all means, keep it up because
Thank
I'm
you.
learning. I'm learning as I'm asking you these questions. I'm learning. This is a different experience for me because not a lot of people come out with the openness to express that they are dealing with either suicide or some form of mental health issues. Not a lot of people, they tend to keep it to themselves because the world is so harsh and critical towards people who have any type of issues. It doesn't matter if you have a mental health issue, suicidal issue, if you are just having something different or experiencing something different from what other people are experiencing, they tend to try and just belittle you and pretty much try to make you feel as if you're worthless, you're nothing, you are a waste of space. And that's so far away from the truth. So far away from
Totally. Totally.
you're just as or even more important than a whole bunch of other people in this world. And I really, really mean that from the heart. I think that from what I was looking at as far as reading your bios and the information that you had on your page, I
Mhm.
love the fact, okay, you're doing podcasts, you're doing freelance writing, poetry, social media marketing. You're actually putting yourself out there in a way that would actually show people that you have something to bring to the table. You have something to offer. And I love it. It's phenomenal. It is phenomenal.
Thank
And
you.
here's another beautiful thing that I got to say. And this is something that I'm an advocate for. As a male, you don't find a lot of males that are advocates for this, but you are proving that women's empowerment has a reason to continuously exist.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people support women's empowerment, but I do. I do. And
Yeah.
that's because I understand the beauty and the joy that women bring to this world.
Right.
So
Totally.
we're doing that and keep doing it. Don't let nothing in this world take you away from that. Continue to keep doing what you're doing. I love it.
Thank you.
Explain to us, please, about the multi hyphenate. Um, I'm curious about that.
Yeah, just a way to say that I have, multiple titles, different things that I do, kind of different industries, different roles that I play. So, like the freelance writing, I do poetry editing, social media marketing, authorship, things like that. So just kind of a nice way to say that in a shorter way, I guess.
Reason why I ask is because, when we have our audience, we never know who doesn't exactly understand everything about what they're reading. So it makes it a lot
Right.
easier if they hear it coming from you. It has more validity, it has more passion,
Yeah,
it exudes more understanding. So I love it. It's a way to keep people engaged.
totally, totally.
That is awesome. So when you're doing your freelance writing, what are some of the things that you write about?
Yeah, kind of depends on the client. Right now I'm working with a client in the software space, so I write kind of about like the fitness industry, and they do kind of like fitness software and that kind of stuff. And then another client, I do a little bit more editing. I've been doing some really cool queer LGBT plus content, editing some content in that space. So that's been really fun as well. Yeah.
So awesome. So when you're engaging with the people from the LGBTQ community, how has it been? Has it been because I know a lot of them can really be high energy people. I talked to some of them, so I know that they they actually protrude a lot of energy when they're talking and a lot of passion when they're talking as well. What has been your experience with them?
I do identify as LGBT plus, so I would consider myself part of that community. But yeah, I'd say, just like any community, there's different types of folks of, yeah, different energy levels, different passions, different things like that. So yeah, it definitely depends on the person for sure. Yeah.
I mean, I have fun with because as you notice, hey, on my podcast, I've interviewed some of everybody. I have no, um, I'm unbiased. I'm totally unbiased about everybody.
Right.
I feel like, irregardless of what you do in your life, you're still a human being before anything else.
Mhm.
That's how I
Of
feel.
course. Yeah.
Never stop feeling that way. I don't care what other people think. Whatever they
Yeah.
think, that's you. Me,
Right.
to everybody. I like to understand people. I like to understand what you go through, what you're doing.
Yeah.
That's that's what makes the world go around. When we can understand what other people are like, what their likes and dislikes are, and be able to communicate with them on that level, we're growing.
Mhm.
We're growing. That's my thing. I'm
Totally.
all over the world. I just want to grow.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
That is awesome. So, what are some of your favorite um, types of poems to write about?
I guess, yeah, I mean, I do enjoy kind of like I mentioned, mental health poetry. I also really enjoy writing like I'm from Toronto, so like bigger city. I like writing about like people, like even like people watching on the subway or like just like characters that you encounter, in a bigger city like that. It can be really fun, kind of, yeah, just portraits of certain folks like through poetry and stuff like that can be really interesting as well. Yeah.
So, when you're writing poetry, is there a particular environment for you? Well, how would where is a place that's you that you can write the most, that you feel most comfortable?
Um, Honestly, it depends where inspiration strikes. Like I feel like you kind of always have to be ready to for like that inspiration to hit. You could just be at a park, you could be on the subway, you could be at home, like I think it's important for writers to like always have some sort of notebook or like place to put their thoughts or like even if it's just a note on your phone or stuff like that. Because yeah, inspiration can really strike you anywhere for sure. Yeah.
So true.
Yeah.
Do you ever wake up in the middle of the night with something that just came to mind and start, writing it or recording it?
I don't know if I've ever done that. I think it more happens for me maybe during the day and or maybe when I'm out and about or maybe just going through something particular. But has that happened to you?
It has many times for
Yeah.
years. It's been happening to me in
Um,
the middle of the night. I'm like, okay, I got to get this down before I forget it. So,
yeah.
and I have this notes app on my phone, so I can just either do speech to text and just
Yeah.
spit it out, and I'll do all my
Yeah.
stuff later. So yeah,
Yeah, exactly. Cool.
it's like you said, whenever the moment hits, bam, I'm
Yeah.
ready.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
And I kind of use it, my poetry and just writing in general for
Mhm.
therapy for myself as well, because anytime I'm going through a situation and sometimes it feels like I can't really put the pieces together, I would
Mhm.
much like take myself away from it by going to the lakefront in Chicago at nighttime when the moon is at its peak. I
Yeah.
time of the night or time of the day, whatever people want to call it. I love that time. And it's like my mind just gets into this free flowing flow, and I'll write, and I'll pretty much write all night.
Oh, wow, that's amazing. Wow.
It's
Wow. That sounds
fun.
that sounds really cool. Yeah.
Thank you. But by the time I'm done, I kid you not, I will have eventually brought myself to a point where I can actually figure out some things that's actually going on in my life at that
Yeah.
time. And I usually I'm able to become the biggest problem solver at that moment.
Yeah. Yeah. It helps with processing a lot for sure.
It really does. It really does. So
Yeah.
So you do self-help businesses, owners and authors and help, so reclaiming their time, and it takes the hassle. So in what ways, what should I say, what techniques do you use to pretty much take the hassle out of the written content?
Yeah, I mean, just basically taking it off their plate, whatever, whatever they have going on that they, either need to outsource or, they just want a second opinion on. Um, Getting like some blog content written. If it's a poet, like working with self-published poets, I help them like kind of polish their manuscripts before they go to print. So, getting that second set of eyes to look at their work. And yeah, with social media management, kind of similar to the blogging, just kind of taking it off their plate, getting it done for them, so they don't have to worry or stress about, the written side of things.
Oh wow, that is cool. That is cool. I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
So I know that by you being so busy, excuse me, you're constantly learning more and more things about yourself. You're learning more and more things about your customers. What are some of the things that you're getting from your experiences?
Yeah, I'd say, just every industry has something to learn. Like, like I'm not necessarily like a huge fitness buff, so learning, I've dabbled in the fitness industry doing some social media and marketing content. So, any industry that you're kind of getting your feet into it can just be it's just a learning experience. Doing a lot of research is really important. So, kind of always learning about different topics, different subject matters, and then working with authors and working on their books, it's just really, really magical to be able to kind of get into someone's world and kind of get into their content and what they're going through or what they're writing about. It's just, yeah, constantly learning. Yeah.
Cool, cool, cool. So, what are some of the different relationships that you've built with some of your customers?
Yeah, I freelanced for about 3.5 years. Then I kind of worked in marketing for a few years. So I just recently relaunched the business. So still kind of getting that client base down. But in the past, I've had yeah, different authors that I've worked with on different projects and help them get their manuscripts out. There's one author I really enjoyed working with, Jerome Bailey. He wrote a book called Liberation, and so I helped him kind of get that out into the world. And, he's gotten some really great reception from it. The book's been really well received. He's been on TV for the book, and, he's had a lot of, it's gone really well. So that's kind of one client that I've really enjoyed working with. Yeah, just kind of working with different authors has been a lot of fun.
That is cool. That is cool. Has there been any people that you found that you couldn't work with?
Um, I don't know if anything's happened where I haven't worked with someone. I'd say like in any industry or any job, there's always going to be, some folks that are maybe a little bit more difficult to work with than others. I don't know if I've ever had to like cancel a project for that reason. Um, I think for the most part, been able to kind of make it work, and kind of understand, I guess, where they're coming from. I don't think that's happened, thankfully. Yeah, yeah,
That's a real good thing. That means
yeah.
you're getting them in, getting them in. That's a beautiful thing, no doubt, no doubt. I'm
Yeah,
loving
yeah.
your background. What's the thought behind your background? It's
Oh, this is a Zoom background. It's not my actual background. It's much nicer than my than my real background. It's just some nice plants and stuff. Yeah.
That's actually pretty cool. I like it. I definitely like your background.
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
I was just wondering if you had some type of poetic thought about it or something. Because it looks,
Yeah, it's just calming. Yeah.
well, that's a good thing. That's a really, really good.
Yeah.
So when you're saying that you're doing podcasts, are you the host for the podcast show?
No, I just appear on kind of different people's shows like this. Kind of some of them are more literary based, some of them are more, LGBT based, some of them are more mental health or more general. So I just kind of appear on different podcasts and chat with different folks about, different topics and stuff like that. Yeah.
So there's nothing wrong with that at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is cool. So in the LGBTQ community, um,
Mm.
what is most acceptable for males and what's most acceptable for females in terms of someone from the outside identifying who this person is?
Sorry, what do you mean exactly? Sorry.
So some people find um, queer to be offensive.
Mhm.
Some say being gay is offensive, but
Mhm.
because I'm like somebody from the outside who really doesn't,
Right.
and I would hate to be disrespectful because I respect everybody, regardless of
Yeah.
and what they're doing. So
Right.
what would be most acceptable for males and what would be most acceptable for females?
I'd say for that kind of stuff, I would just defer to the person because you're right. Some people who are maybe a little older, like the term queer was used as an insult. So that might not be something that they're necessarily cool with or that they would like to identify with. Someone like me, like I personally like the term queer. I find it to be a little bit more fluid than some other terms like bi or gay or lesbian. I like queer because it's just a little bit more general. But I would always defer to the person, whatever pronouns they want to use, whatever term or label that they use for themselves. It doesn't hurt to ask if you're not sure. And I would always defer to the person because you're right. Like there can be so many different nuances and different terms that some folks might be okay with and some folks might not. Um, so I would always defer to what that person, really is comfortable with. Yeah.
Exactly, and that is solid advice, and I will definitely take that anywhere I go to heart, no
Yeah.
doubt. I mean, I have
Totally.
a few family members that are also a part of the community, but
Yeah.
because I'm so busy, I never get a chance to actually ask them. And when I
Yeah.
did see them, at the time that I saw them, I was a lot younger, so I really didn't even
Right.
understand what I was looking at in the first place. So,
Right.
like again, I just try to be, respectful and mindful of what people are accepting themselves to be in their lives, and I
Yeah.
feel like I've said anything wrong when I say people are accepting themselves to be. I'm not trying to be, like I said, I'm not trying to be disrespectful to anybody. I respect.
No. Yeah,
So
totally.
so I'll ask you this. So on some of the social media platforms that you worked on, what is some of your work that you do on the platforms?
Yeah. Kind of depends on the client and industry. For example, I used to work at a company called Wishly. They were kind of like an e-commerce sort of startup here in Canada. We did some really cool like Pride Month content that I was really proud of. They were kind of more in like the family space, so we focused on kind of how parents can be more inclusive of like LGBT plus children or children who might be questioning their identity and things like that. So we put out some interesting content around that that I was really proud of for sure. Yeah.
That's cool. That is really cool. I
Yeah.
like that. I like that.
Yeah.
So do you feel that um a person can accrue mental health issues, or do you feel that they're born with mental health issues?
I would defer to like kind of, I know like in psychology they call it the biopsychosocial approach, like how biology, psychology, and then kind of your socialization all kind of play a factor. So I think there can be a biological component for sure. Like I know for me, like it's definitely like has a hereditary aspect, but then there's other things that can contribute to it, like trauma or things like that, can definitely like cause altogether, certain mental health issues like PTSD and things like that. So I'd say it's a mix, and it depends on the person for sure. Yeah.
Cool, cool, cool. So with the person that maybe so basically saying that they've accrued it, versus a person that may have been born into it,
Mm.
which do you say is easier to actually work with, or to maybe to even understand, or is there a difference?
Um, I wouldn't necessarily say one is easier than the other. I think everyone's experiences of mental illness are so unique and so complex and so different. I wouldn't say that one is necessarily easier than the other. And for a lot of people, there is both, right? Like they experience trauma and there might be a hereditary aspect to it. So I'd say it's not really one or the other. Regardless of how someone may have come to struggle with their mental health, that's totally valid, and it doesn't have to necessarily be one or the other, or that one's harder than the other, or things like that. I'd say however you come about it, it's valid, and it deserves understanding and treatment and care regardless of how it came about for sure.
And so, with that being said, what are some of the best ways to approach a person that has mental ill, in mental illnesses? What is some of the best ways to approach it? And the reason why I ask this is because, again, there are so many people out here that are so negative about things,
Yeah.
and they just fail to try and understand that everybody can't be approached the same. So, in your
Mhm.
experiences, and not just the best way to approach you with your experience, but maybe some of the other people that you've talked to and come in contact with,
Yeah.
what will be some of the best ways to approach?
Yeah, and again, it's very individual. I think that the key is just making sure that that person knows that you care for them, that you're there for them, that you're a safe space for them to tell them about whatever's going on. It's very delicate if there are concerns about someone being suicidal. Maybe things can have to be a little more escalated, like potentially, having to call 911, or incorporate like other supports and things like that. But I would say as a start, just making sure that the person knows that you're there for them, that you have their best interest at heart, that you'd love to hear from them. Is there anything that's on their mind? Is there anything they're going through? Is there any way that you can support them? Um, but obviously, yeah, there are certain situations, like for example, with suicide, where you might have to be a little bit more explicit, like, hey, are you, having some dark thoughts? Are you having thoughts about, ending your life? And some people can be scared to broach the subject, but it is important to be direct sometimes, and to just be open about, and making sure it's they know it's okay to talk about. So yeah, I'd say it's really complex and depends on the person, but also ultimately you want to make sure that they know that you're a safe space for them, and that you're there to understand and to help in any way that you can, I think.
Awesome. Awesome. So tell me, is there a way that a person like such as myself, who actually pretty much cares about everybody, is there a way for me to actually be able to tell if I'm making that person comfortable, or if I'm making them uncomfortable? What would be some of the signs?
Yeah, again, it's so hard to say. because it really does come to the person. I mean, I guess body language, basic cues, like does that person, seem comfortable with the conversation? Do they seem like maybe they need to take a break? Even just giving them that space to, hey, you know what, maybe we can pick up this conversation tomorrow, or when you're feeling a little bit better, if someone might be like crying or, just feeling really overwhelmed and doesn't really want to have that conversation in the moment, then maybe, giving them that space to, do you want to take a 5-minute break? Do you want to pick this up, tomorrow, next week? Giving them that kind of space as well. But yeah, it really depends. I'd say body language, kind of basic cues, seeing if that person is getting a little bit overwhelmed or feeling, or, it can even bring up feelings of anger in certain people, depending on what they're struggling with. So, trying to hold compassion for that person and just understand, like, you know what, maybe this isn't the best time to talk. We can pick this up another time. I'd say just kind of trying to get a read on the situation a little bit. Yeah.
Right. Okay. It kind of sounds like, from the way that you describe it, it would kind of sound like a technique that you would use also for a person who suffered from depression. You kind of want to give them that open window of opportunity to basically say, hey, if you need to take a break, let's just take a break from this for a moment. And
Yeah.
what about exercises? Let's say, for example,
Mhm.
the let's use you and I for an example. Let's say that you're
Yeah.
having issues right now, and I'm the only
Mhm.
person that's here with you to help you right now. What are some of the
Mhm.
exercises that I can do to try and
Mhm.
help you get in a better space?
Yeah, I'd say, like I mentioned, just letting people know that you're a safe space, that you can talk to them. If they don't feel like maybe opening up to you personally, letting them know, hey, like, here are some crisis lines maybe we can call. Here are some professionals that we can reach out to. Here is, you can do some research even, like having your local suicide lines, things like that. There's certain counseling lines that will give free counseling as well, maybe not necessarily in a crisis situation. Like, you kind of have to assess whether it's more of a crisis situation, then you would go with a crisis line. If it's more, maybe they just need someone to talk to, then maybe more of a counseling line. If you're able to do research into maybe some therapists or counselors in your area, hey, like, I'd love to, help you research a therapist or someone to talk to if you don't feel comfortable talking to me. Like, here are some numbers. Would you be okay with that? Like, maybe things like that. Or, if something is really severe and if there are active thoughts of suicide, like, hey, can I drive you to the hospital? Like, can I sit with you in the hospital? Can I be there for you in that moment, and really support you in whatever way you feel is necessary, that kind of thing.
Okay. Cool, cool. So is there like maybe some calming type of exercises, maybe doing some breathing exercises? Is there anything that we can do like that until maybe I can get someone on the phone, or
Yeah.
maybe I, convince you to let me take you to the hospital? Like, is there anything like that?
Yeah. Yeah, for me personally, like, I found mindfulness to be very, very, very helpful. Doing simple, yeah, like breathing exercises or mindful breathing exercises can be really helpful. You can simply go on YouTube, you can find a ton of free, accessible, meditations or breathing exercises just on YouTube. There's an app called Insight Timer. That one's totally free, has a free version. So you can find exercises that way. Or even, like you said, just trying to say, we're going to take 3 deep breaths together or something very simple like that. It can really help kind of bring like body and mind together, and kind of help someone feel a little bit grounded in the moment. Yeah.
Cool, cool. I'm so glad to learn more. Thank you for being so open about it, 'cause this is really helpful to me because, like I said, I talk to so many different people, and you just never know what you can do to help people until you learn more about it. And I
Yeah.
try as much as I can, and I
Yeah.
definitely for being so open and sharing the advice, because I would never want to be, excuse me, I never want to be in a position where I can't help. No doubt about
Of
that.
course. Yeah, absolutely.
And this is very helpful. So, for all of my listeners out there, please make sure that you get a hold of, and podcast hosts, I tell you the same thing. Get a hold of information that you can use to actually help people and spread the word, especially if it's in your area where you reside. Spread the word, let people know, because mental health issues are definitely here, and I don't think it's going anywhere anytime soon. So let's learn to cope, let's learn to adapt, let's learn to understand, because those are key things that's going to help you as well as help somebody else. So if you're really here to
Definitely.
help somebody, then you will get involved, no doubt.
Totally. Totally.
All right. So in today's society, with all the work that you're doing, what are some of your goals now?
Some goals. I think growing my client base is something that I'm working on. Definitely something like that. Just I used to write in the personal finance space, so always kind of working on building up savings and things like that. Very important. And then yeah, those sorts of things. Always focusing on my mental health and trying to be better and learn to cope with my emotions or things like that in a better way. So it's something that definitely doesn't stop and that you're always working on for sure.
Cool, 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 cool. So are you in a good space right now?
Yeah, there's ups and downs like everything, but I'd say, compared to where I was maybe like 4 or 5 years ago, definitely have made a lot of changes. Yeah, for sure.
Yes, yes, yes. You're showing you that fighter.
Yeah,
Hey, keep me down. I want to fight, 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 fight.
yeah, exactly.
That's a great thing. That's a great thing. I spoke with a gentleman on a previous podcast, and he was dealing with some mental health issues, but he was also dealing with ADHD. And
Mm,
right now, like I just talked to him, was it was right before Christmas. It was like two or 3 days right before 2 days, 2 or 3 days before Christmas. And he is doing a whole lot. Like, he has written a book since then. He
wow.
has definitely been inspired, because I told him the same thing. Like, no matter what you do, you gotta fight, you gotta fight, you gotta keep
Yeah,
take you out of your space, and
yeah.
always continue to grow and learn as many things as you can possibly learn. And I am super, super proud of him and happy to see where he's going and the things that he's doing now. He is definitely reaching new heights in his life, and it's exciting. It's really,
Oh,
really
that's great. Oh, that's amazing.
it's
Mhm.
exciting to see that. And I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
that I'm gonna be looking on some of your pages, and I'll see like, okay, yep, Miss Killeen doing her thing. Don't stop. I'll put a comment on there every
Yeah.
once in a while. Hey, don't stop. Keep doing what you're doing. No doubt.
Yeah. I appreciate that.
No doubt. Hey, I feel like I may not be able to be supportive 100% of the time, but you never know when I'm gonna pop up and put something on your page, a comment, and or a motivation or some type of advice that I feel may be great to help you continue to grow. You never know when
Yeah.
that's
I'll keep an eye out.
that'll definitely work out for me. So, were you ever dealing with cases of sobriety? Because I see that as one of the ideal things and the main focuses. Is that something that you ever had to deal with?
Yeah, I've struggled with addiction, with issues with alcohol. Kind of still dealing with that to this day. I had a period of about 4.5 years of sobriety. That was really great. I had, a little bit of a slip a couple months ago, and I've been struggling a little bit more. But you know, lapses are definitely part of the process of recovery, and taking it day by day. But yeah, and it's also, I think, important to normalize relapses and lapses so people don't feel like alone when those sorts of things happen. But always, just kind of working on that and focusing on whatever goal, that might be harm reduction, that might be sobriety for different people. But yeah, continuing to work on yourself and getting that support is really important for sure.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. I totally agree with you. I totally agree. My mom had struggled for a long time dealing with alcoholism, and
Mhm.
it came to a point to where she would not even remember certain things that happened the next day. And
Yeah.
found that to be a really, really odd situation because I never understood. I was never a drinker. I can't say that I've never tried it because I want to see what it tastes like and why people were so into it, but it was just not
Yeah.
something. And
Right.
I looked back because I wasn't raised by my parents. I was raised by my grandparents.
Mhm.
But me
Mhm.
knowing my mom's addiction and knowing what it done to her when I was around her, that one time that I was around her, she actually said some very hateful things to me. And
Mhm.
I didn't take immediate offense to it. I was actually kind of thinking back and forth because I was a teenager when she said this. So I was kind of like thinking back and
Yeah.
forth. Is she really talking to me, or is she really just talking her problems out that she's had
Mhm.
whenever she was with that night? Because it was at nighttime. I remember
Right.
it like yesterday. So
Yeah.
I really didn't know what to think or what to say, but I ended up
Mhm.
having a conversation with her about it, and she didn't remember anything. She definitely apologized for what she said, but she didn't remember
Mhm.
any of the
Oh,
incident.
wow.
Remember coming to me, talking to me, and these
Yeah.
things, these instances or incidents that's happened in my life are things that led me to do what I'm doing right now, to be on this
Mhm.
podcast, to be able to be a relationship coach and talk to people and try to have the most positive impact that I could possibly have on people. And that's my
Yeah.
goal. If I can reach one person per month, I'm happy that one
Right.
person spread the word from any type of advice that I've given them or any type of inspiration that I've given them. If they can spread that word, I'm happy.
Right.
I'm happy.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great mission. Yeah. I'm sure you reach many more than one person, but yeah, it's a great way to think about it. Yeah.
Well, I just feel like if you're going to set goals for yourself, at least make them realistic. I mean, I talk to a ton of people every single day. I talk to a ton of people, and I came from being that quiet loner type of person. I still suffer a little
Mhm.
bit from being in that space where I always want to be alone or be by myself, and I'm working on myself with that. This, myself and some of my coworkers were actually talking about being in that type of space in our life. And I don't know if that's a mental issue or not, but if it
Mhm.
is, we're actually doing things to actually work on that because sometimes you need to actually talk to somebody. You need to have
Yeah.
somebody that you can vent to, or even if you're not venting, just release some of that energy so that it doesn't become
Yeah.
tension. You know? So sometimes
Totally. Yeah.
you
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
what would be your take on something like that?
On the with your mom and your mission and everything like that.
What would be your take?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm really sorry that you had to, deal with all that. I know it can be really difficult for people who are um, living with someone or, loving someone who struggles with their addiction or, different substance abuse concerns. So I'm really sorry about that. Yeah, I think it's good that you had that conversation with her at least and open that line of communication for you to know that she didn't even remember that that happened. But it is good that she owned up to it and was able to apologize and have that conversation with you at least, for sure. And then yeah, like your whole mission of trying to reach people and be that positive light and everything, I think is amazing. And that's what we need more of in this world, I think. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Thank you so much.
Of course. Yeah, of course.
Definitely show signs that you're listening. I love that. I love it. That is so awesome. So, Miss Killeen, this has been a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful experience, and I definitely would love to follow you and learn more about what's going on. So, do me a favor, give us something positive that can take us out.
Yeah, I think I'd like to reiterate with kind of something that I mentioned at the beginning, which is that recovery really is possible. When you're struggling with your mental health or addiction or, different issues, it's really easy to feel alone or hopeless. But, just know that there are people out there that are ready to support you, and that if you're able to open up to even one person or to one support, that will have a ripple effect, and that recovery is absolutely possible, no matter how dark it might seem at the moment, and that you can definitely learn to live with these things, to cope better, to come out stronger than ever. And you can also use that experience in the future to relate to other people and make them also feel not as alone too.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Well spoken. Yeah, well spoken. You definitely won the nomination for best speaker tonight.
Thank you.
So cool. This is so cool. So by all means, let us know, where we can actually reach you, what social media sites, websites, things of that nature, where we can actually reach you.
Yeah, so if you're interested in learning more about me or my work or that kind of thing, you can just find my website. It's mercedeskilleen.com. So Mercedes like the car, and then KILLEEN.com. I'm also on Instagram. That's kind of one of the main ones I use. It's poetry dot marketing. So poetry and marketing with dots in between. So yeah, you can find me on Instagram. That's kind of the main one that I use for myself. And yeah, otherwise you can just find me on my website, and there's a link there to reach out if you never like to reach out about anything. You can email me through that site as well.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much, Miss Mercedes Killeen. This has definitely been an awesome experience. You are a wonderful, wonderful guest. You definitely shed some light on situations that a lot of us didn't even know anything about. So this is beautiful. This is wonderful. This is definitely uplifting and an advisory for a lot of people. I really feel like we learned a lot from you, and we can continue to learn more from you. Keep it up, keep up the great work, as you definitely shed some light here on YTP Entertainment, and I'm loving it all.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate you having me. Thank you.
You're very welcome, and more than welcome to come back, no doubt. You're more than
Awesome. Yeah, that'd be great.
well. Thank you so much. Um, one one last question that I want to ask you. Is there a particular person that has been a major inspiration in your life?
Artistically or just in general?
You know?
I would say my mom. My mom is just, a huge inspiration to me. She's lived a really, really interesting life. She's a refugee from El Salvador. She lived through a civil war. She, came to Canada, built an entire life for herself here, learned a new language, created an entirely new life for herself. She's a huge inspiration to me, and she's super supportive. And yeah, if I can be anything like my mom, then I'll be happy. Yeah.
Yes. Shout out to
Yeah.
Killeen, Mom, my
Yeah.
people. Please make sure that you are going to Mercedes links, her website, Instagram is where she spends most of the time. So please, by all means, check her out. Check out all the information that she has to offer, learn more. And again, please do not forget to have something handy if you know someone or may have been in the presence of someone or know someone that knows someone else, whatever the case may be, get some information that these people can use. You never know whose life you may save. So please make it happen. Thank you so much, Miss Mercedes. You are one in a million, definitely a true blessing. And we are definitely grateful to have you here on YTP Entertainment. Peace and blessings. And we are
Thank
out of here.
you.